And then I, of course, last between 1990 and now, I did a lot of traveling all over the world, and I really enjoy it. But that situation during last World War, that was really unusual, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody. And basically, that's it.
Now, one of the times when you went back to Warsaw, I think you had some pictures of, they had actually used pictures that they had to rebuild a lot of the old sections to look pretty much like it used to, right?
The Warsaw, they rebuilt this, especially the section of the old town. Really, you know, they had some previous pictures and they rebuilt exactly. You wouldn't even know the difference between before and after. And the royal castle, that was just in really ruin, and they done a beautiful job on it, rebuilding. And of course they got a gift from, so-called gift from Russians, and one of their structures, which I don't know, not everybody was too happy about it. They were thinking eventually really even tearing it down, but as of right now they just converted it into some offices and so on, and it's still standing. But most of Warsaw, it was like 90 to 95% destroyed, and I must give them a credit. I mean, they didn't have, like, you know, America rebuilt Germany and France and all of the European gave them the Marshall aid and all sorts of help. Poland didn't get none of that. Russians not only didn't help, they actually stripped a lot of our factories and so on and sent it to Russia, and we're supposed to be their allies. So, I mean, the general attitude towards Russian is like, like the American attitude was towards Russian, you know, during the almost 50 years of that so-called Cold War. And basically it. Any other questions?
Not that I can think of. Oh, Dad said that he thought you got like a medal thing because...
Oh yeah. I got, when I went for my 60th anniversary, I stopped at the underground army. They had administrative offices, and I have a prove it to them that I was, you know, active in Warsaw Uprising, and they gave me a medal and cross and all that, and plus a plaque saying or a certificate that I was member of the underground army and so on, which really I was, and I really appreciated that. And I took quite a few pictures in Warsaw, and but every time, at least last few times, every time I went to Poland, I always stayed 2 to 3 days in Warsaw, and then I went to Krakow. I really like Krakow, and that was one of the towns in Poland that was not destroyed. I mean, that Russians kind of overtook it so quickly that the Germans had no chance to have it destroyed, and so that was really one town in Poland that was still standing, and it was and that was, you know, originally at one time 400 or 500 years ago, it used to be capital of Poland, and it has a beautiful castle and churches and so on, and and of course the university, and I really every year I prefer going to Krakow than staying in Warsaw, but you know, the swing was I go by plane to Warsaw, and then from there I went by train to Krakow, and then a few times I actually went to Prague. I really like Prague in Czechoslovakia and enjoy that. And then in the meantime I covered the rest of the Europe, and Italy and Switzerland and Germany, and of course England and Ireland, and of course Italy quite a few times. And basically that's it. So Any other questions? That's it? It's still running?
Yeah.
Okay.
So how did you get into the Polish army? I mean, did they just
Where
basically
in Italy or during the uprising?
during the uprising?
Well, I mean, it was right in where I lived. They had a command post, and that's where they aggregated. And I was at that time here. I was like 17, 18, so it's automatic.
You're in it.
I'm in it. I had no choice. Everybody was in it. I mean, they didn't tell you and go. I just joined. I mean, after all, I lived all through the uprising, and I saw, I was a young kid, and I was kind of undernourished. So I mean, I was noticed too much. But I mean, many a times, you can be going down the street or walking down the street, and suddenly they block the street from both ends and put everybody in a truck and take you to the camp. And if you are working for some administrative offices, you have a documentation, they let you go. If not, they just send you to Germany. There was no reason, no rhyme, no reason. And then there was a number of attacks Polish attacks on Germany, like that one time they killed some German general, and so in Warsaw, blew him up. So what they did, they just, for no reason at all, they had a formula for every German, 100 Poles get killed. I mean, they just took anybody from the, and just put you against the wall and shot it. So if you go to Warsaw, you can see all over Warsaw. You have places where he had 20 people dead, shot, 30 people dead, and so it's all over Warsaw. And I mean, nothing was safe. I mean, that's why I kind of sympathize with the situation that America that we're having right now in Iraq. I mean, nothing is safe, except Germans at that time here were the oppressors, and they were the one doing all that. And we're in the present situation in Americans, they are on the other side. They're supposed to be the occupier, but by golly, they are the one that are getting all the screwing, all the killing and all that. I mean, it's unthinkable. I mean, I really sympathize with those, people in the army right now. You're not safe. You're not safe in a camp. You're not safe when you're driving, and you are liable to get shot at any time.
Or blown up.
Or blown up.
And then did your mother and father die during the war?
Right. Yeah, my father was taken to the concentration camp. He was a teacher, and my wife, my mother didn't, with some heart complication or whatever, and she just died. So I was really basically on my own since I was like 13, 14. And so it was rough, but I still remember the thrill of, when I, after the war, when I traveled from Germany to Italy, and I was just requisitioning the German cars. They were going, and I said, hey, I wanted to go there. You take me there. So I had to supply the gas. I went to the American, to the American camp, and there was quite a few Polish people, working with the American army, or in the American army. So once they find out that I'm Polish, they gave me all the supplies that I needed. They gave me gas and something to eat and all that, and just helped me. So I had no problem. And the German was actually, whoever was transporting me, he was tickled because at least he got some transportation, he got some gas, so he can move wherever he wanted. So it took me like maybe less than a week to go from the northern Germany all the way to Italy, till I get to the border, and then of course the transport picked me up, and then from that point on I was all taken care of. They put me right in a camp, and as a matter of fact, they say I was a young kid, so I better go and finish high school. So they sent me to school to finish high school.
In Italy?
Yeah. And then, as a matter of fact, we, as a school, then we went. They transported us to Italy, and actually, that's where I finally graduated by Cambridge, from high school. And then after that, we just, found a job. So I was working as a waiter in Cambridge for a while, and then after that, I went to London, and I got a scholarship. So I studied for about a year. It was everything in English. And we had to read equivalent of New York Times every day and so on. And the biggest place that I learned my English was I went to Trafalgar Square, Hyde Park Corner. And they had every day people from different political parties, different religion beliefs and so on. They will go out there and talk. So I just got involved, and I was talking, of course, anti-communist and so on. At first, I had problem, expressing myself, but as I spent in some days, like 6 to 10 to 12 hours out there arguing and all that, I got pretty good. to the point that my landlord, he went to the shores, to the lake, to the ocean, and then when he came back after 2 to 3 months, he says he couldn't believe it how much I picked up in English. But if you're exposed to it, and for like, as I said, from 10 to 12, sometimes 12 hours a day, especially like Saturday and Sunday, I had nothing else to do. I was like going to school, but in between school, I had plenty of time, so I just go out there and treat it as a English language school.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So then it was the Russians that liberated you from the concentration camp? Prisoner of war camp?
Actually, what happened when we were by Dresden, they were evacuating us towards Czechoslovakia, and as they did that on the road, I can see suddenly, I didn't see nothing, but everybody stops and all the trucks stop and all the Germans kind of scoot, and I said, what's going on? And then I saw the American Spitfire was going we were like in a valley, from one side of a valley to the other, and every time he came down, burst from his machine gun, truck was burning, and then he went up, turned around, and just one did like, I don't know, musket killed, just one plane, just was shooting just back and forth, and every time as he was going down, burst off his machine gun, and truck was on fire. And then finally, the Russians were just, pretty cool, and then just came right over, and wow. Tell you a story what the Russians did to some of the Germans out there. But at that point here, I've been exposed to a lot of that. So to me, it's like, well, they had it coming. So
yeah.
And I know after the war, I went to Germany a couple of times and talked to different Germans and so on. It says, well, we didn't know. And I said, look, war is war. It's nothing I can do about it, or you can do about it, so, let's just treat it as an experience and forget it. But some of them were pretty embarrassed, especially like that one time I was traveling with one American. He was the captain in the army, and they talked to him, but they were kind of a little leery of me. By the time we'll finish, I said, as a matter of fact, we stayed with some German family for a couple of days. By the time we finished, they even had a party for us, and I discussed with them, and then said, how you feel? I said, well, what can I feel? I'm not too happy about it, but
what can you do?
What can I do? Life is life, and just have to live the best I can and do the best I. So I don't know you from Adam, you don't know me, and it happens. It's just life. Any other questions? You want any elaboration on the Pearl Harbor or atomic? Not too much. I mean, you probably know more about that than I do, but
Which concentration camp did your dad go to? Do you know?
I don't recall which one, because they just sent us a paper saying that he died, and I mean, it's, you know, I was just a young kid and all that, so
Do you have anything else?
You had was it an aunt that was a nun?
yeah, that was in right in Warsaw. I lived with her for a while. Yeah.
That was after your mom and dad
Right,
died?
right. Yeah. But after that, you know, I came to Warsaw by myself with a group of guys, and then I said, hey, no way. So especially after I saw Warsaw and all the destruction and all that, and I said, no way. And frankly, which history actually, if you read some of the Churchill's paper or Eisenhower and so on, Russians were really behind all that. I mean, to be sitting right outside Warsaw and do nothing, while the population, that was going on. I mean, it's you know, it's unbelievable. And there were American planes flying all the way from like 1,000 or 2,000 miles each way, flying from Bari, Italy, which is like middle of Italy, probably on 200 or 300 miles east from Rome, coming over the Alps and so on to get to Warsaw, and then fly over the roofs of the house if possible, and then go back. So they asked Russian, they give us a base, you know, right across the river. Russians refused.
It's because they wanted Poland.
Well, they wanted, you know, they didn't want the, you know, the way we felt, you know, hey, you Ruskies, you just, you fighting Germans, just go through Poland, we'll take care of our own, you just keep on going. But they said, no way, we're going to be running you. Which, of course, they did for all those years.
45 years.
Yeah. That's why I wouldn't go for it. From, you know, in 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s, I wouldn't go to Poland. I guess I could. By that time, I was an American citizen, so they couldn't do nothing. But I figured, well, I'd rather not.
Not worth the chance.
So it's not worth taking a chance, so I didn't. But after 1990 was really the first day that I got my passport, and I started really to travel around.
Anything else, Aaron?
No.
And I cover you pretty close here.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was watching, what was it? You called and told Dad that there was something about the Warsaw Uprising that we watched together. It said that they, like, to get around,
right.
like in Warsaw, you went through the sewers.
I didn't, but I saw the guys coming out from the sewers, and they were what they did. You know, it was like probably, well, maybe 5-10 feet across, around one, and was water, some water on the bottom and all that. And what the Germans did, they throw the gas in those sewers. So some of those guys, when they coming through, I mean, they stank like hell, and they were blind and everything else. I mean, wow. No, I was kind of lucky, because what I did, as young as I was, I discovered one thing. If you in a position like you know, like in your trenches and so on, and you observing the right in front of you. You don't sit with your gun ready to shoot at any time. So you just kind of sit there and kind of, you know, look around. And then if you see any activities, then you get ready. Once I discovered that, everywhere if there was any action, I always volunteer. I'll go first. And usually, being first, I always got it. I mean, I was safe. By the time they got ready, Germans got ready, then I already went by. But the people behind me almost almost constantly got it. And once I discovered that, I always volunteer, and they said, "Oh, heck, you brave guy." I said, "No." I said, I know more than you do. And I just didn't want it to tell them that that's the way to do it. I mean, always go first, because the first guy will always make it. And the people thereafter, they really... Or at one time, I always went was on a position on a certain spot, and that one guy started to argue, "How come you always have that good spot?" And I said, "Well, I don't care. You want it? Go ahead." And then I went somewhere else. Then when I came from that somewhere else, I find out he got hit right in that spot where I was. So I mean, that really shook me up. I said, "Wow, that would have been me." But they said he argued, so I said, "Well, you take it." So, no, I was pretty lucky. And at one time I had to go from here to there, the machine gun right behind me, and it was frightening. And actually, my legs got kind of mixed up and all that. Now, was I lucky?
Oh, gosh. That is scary.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think I covered that pretty good.
Yeah, you did.
That's why I thought if I read that and I know what you want, then I can kind of build around it and give you some sequence and all that.
I'm guessing that was Terry.
Ken.
Same thing.
Okay.
That's it.